For KRVN Sports, I'm Jason Jorgensen. Tryon native Talia Kahrs was named the new head coach of the Fort Hays State women's basketball program this week. She takes over for longtime head coach Tony Hobson, who decided to retire. Caught up to Kahrs this week, and I asked her how things have gone after being named head coach of the Tigers.
We kind of started the process last week, and it was really exciting last week, and things were going really good. And then we had to tell the girls. We ended up getting to tell them on Monday, and it was something that I was really concerned about, making sure that they heard it from us and not maybe somebody telling somebody and eventually getting to them. So I was really relieved that we got to Monday without them finding out. And on Monday, it was bittersweet. Tony telling them was an emotional thing. It wasn't something that they weren't expecting at some point in their careers, just because they knew that he could potentially retire. But it was still emotional, and so it was comforting to see how much they cared about him. But it was also bittersweet knowing that chapter was closing at Fort Hays, but also exciting for me to be able to take that on.
What is it like from your vantage point, taking over for your mentor and taking over for a legend? I would think you got to feel you certainly got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I do. Going in as an assistant when he first hired me, I don't think being a head coach was something that I was super sure about, especially at the Division II level, maybe at something underneath. And then as he continued to trust me and continued throughout the years to give me more of a role in different areas as far as being a head coach, but also without the pressure of being a head coach, I think it gave me a lot of confidence that I could fail, but also at the same time I've done it and I've went through it and I've had to make choices and I've gotten to make decisions, or at least been a part of making those decisions, that I was able to be confident in the last couple of years that I was able to take on the head role.
I'm sure you can't even start to boil down all the things about basketball and even running a program that you've learned from him, but maybe what's the biggest thing you take from this experience, not only playing for him but being on the bench so long, that you'll try to use now that you're in charge?
Something that I really appreciate about him, in the good and the bad for the girls, always good for me, is that I never have to question what he's thinking. He's very honest. He's never going to go back on he's telling a girl one thing and then it looks different on another thing. And as we've gotten transfers, that's something that they've really struggled with their head coach, is that, well, they're telling me this, but then this is happening. And that's something that I really appreciated about Tony, is there was never two different sides of the story. He told you what it was. You saw that. Sometimes it was a little harsh, but I appreciated that, especially as an assistant, that I never questioned where he stood on things because he was very, very sure about them, and then it was always the same. It was very consistent. So that's something for me, is just it's being honest and being real, and sometimes being very blunt, that it maybe didn't feel so good maybe to the girls, but it was something that I think they appreciate, and something especially for me that I appreciate, is that what he said is what you got, and I think that's really important in a head coach.
One thing I noticed in the press release, he said when he did decide to step down, he wanted to leave the program in a good spot for the next person. I would think you have to be excited. I mean, it's not like you're taking this over when it's down in the dumps. I mean, he leaves you a pretty good team, and you were all playing pretty good basketball at the end of this year.
Yeah, as he's been processing this, and something he's thought about for a couple years, I suppose, is that it was important that he wanted me to get the job. And so it was really important that for the girls, that he wanted the girls to have somebody that he trusted, and that for me, that I was going to have a team going in that he was confident in, that they were going to be pretty good. And so I really appreciated that in my position, but also appreciated that for the girls as we were processing when to tell them. For him leaving and me getting hired, is that we just did it all in one sweep, so they didn't have to stress about, well, who's going to take the program over. That it was really important for us to be authentic with them. And it was really important to him, for both sides, me and them, that he left us in a good situation.
That is new Fort Hays State women's basketball coach Talia Kahrs, who has been not only a player, student assistant, but an assistant coach in the Fort Hays State program for a long, long time. And she now takes over directing the Tigers. For KRVN Sports, I'm Jason Jorgensen.